Hi, and welcome to our What Sold video for June 2nd through 8th. I'm Wendy.
I'm Cevin.
And together we are Nina's Jewels. All right, well, let's dive into everything that we sold this week. But before we do, please take a minute to pause on the screen and look at our disclosures really quick. All right, the first item that we sold was multiple items to a single seller, but a random Christmas item, actually multiple Christmas items. So this was a Stuffin's animated plush Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Yukon Cornelius animated plush. I don't remember what he did. He said some line from the movie.
I'm Yukon Cornelius.
Yeah, it sounded exactly
I really
like
don't.
that.
I don't think that's what it was.
I mean, that was like hearing it in real life. And then it was a lot of 2 cloisonne enamel. It was a blue articulated koi fish and a cross ornament. They were both the cloisonne style ornaments. We got the plush at a regular Goodwill. And we got the koi fish out of the Goodwill bins, and the cross came from a storage unit. Our cost of goods for all of those items combined was $4.65, and they sold for a total price of $49.98. Nice. So that was a good sale, a good Christmas in the middle of summer
weird
sale.
Random combination of things.
I know. Well,
maybe it was a
Christmas.
viewer.
Yeah, if it was a viewer, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We've actually been trying to sell that Yukon Cornelius for a while.
For a long time.
Yeah, I was surprised it had taken so long to sell. Next up was a lot of 6 Cordell 7-inch red fin crankbait fishing lures.
From the stripper box.
From the stripper box at the estate sale. If you haven't seen that video, it will be linked in the description box below. But all of them appeared new except for one that was obviously used. And we got those at an estate sale for $4 in total, and they sold very quickly for $30. This was our first time buying lures. All right, next up was a pair of women's bamboo, ivory, and navy striped canvas espadrille sandals. These we got out of the Goodwill bins. They appeared brand new, but I did list them as used because they had some dinge on them from the bins.
Some bins dinge.
Some bins dinge. We paid $1.41 for those, and they sold for $19.44.
What makes something an espadrille?
The kind of ropey looking texture on the side of the shoe. And it doesn't have to be a wedge. It can be an espadrille, even if it's like kind of a flat.
It's the ropiness?
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? That kind of,
I
don't know, ropiness
like
might not
jute?
be the,
like
that jute look.
Yeah.
Okay. The jutiness.
I wasn't sure what made it an espadrille. Yeah. Whether it was the
That's what
style
it is.
Or the,
yeah, it's that look. It's that kind of like
and now you
look.
know.
Good question, Cevin. Next up was a set of 2 Golden Nugget Casino clear lucite Las Vegas die.
It's dice if there's more than one.
Is it?
Die is singular. Dice is plural.
Oh yeah, that is right. It felt weird. Yeah. These actually, we just kind of found, these were found items that we found laying around in another business that we own, and decided to sell them because we had no, what do we have use for these for?
I don't need any dice.
Yeah,
Dices.
I don't need a die or any dice. And these sold for $19.99. Next up was a 4-inch hand-carved wooden giraffe figurine. I described it as folk art. That's a good keyword to use if you have something that's handmade. So we found this. Actually, this was in a toy bag from the thrift store. You can find some really, really random stuff in the toy bags at the thrift store.
If it's small, they throw it in there sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes they think it's a toy and it's actually not. So we found some folk art in a toy bag. We paid 18 cents for this item, and it didn't have tons of value, but we already owned it once we bought the toy bag because we bought it for something else, and it sold for $9.34. Next up was a J. Crew women's bi-stretch cotton crop pair of chino pants. These were gifted to us to sell by family, so we had no cost, and they sold for $15.98. Next up was a instant immersion Spanish complete language learning system on CD. It also had some DVDs and a workbook, so you were covered. You were going to learn Spanish one way or another, darn it. And this was also gifted to us to sell by family. We had no cost, and it sold for $19.98. Next up was a pair of H&M denim jeans. These were high waist, ankle length jeans, and these actually belonged to Nina. They sold for $17.50. Next up was I think technically this was like discontinued hair color, and I think that's why these did well, because I saw recently that somebody else was selling these and they had mentioned that these were discontinued. I actually didn't find that when I had researched it, but just a side note. This was a box of Goldwell Top Chic permanent hair color in the color Mahogany Brilliant. It was new in the box. We had bought several of these from a garage sale, got them for a great
few doors
price.
Down.
Yeah. And we had paid just 80 cents a box for those. And this is the last one to sell. It sold for $12.99. So if you can find this discontinued hair color,
they didn't make a ton of money, but they sold fairly quickly.
Yeah, they sold quickly, and we sold all of them. And talk about an easy list. That one was easy.
Yeah.
Next up was a lot of 5 Thomas & Friends VHS, and we tested them all and they worked, had various ones with them. We got all of these at the thrift store for 67 cents in total. We paid only 67 cents for all of those, and they sold for $15 even. Next up was a pair of Polo Ralph Lauren men's sneakers. They had the pony embroidery on them, so you could show that you were cool wearing your polo shoes. And these we got at a garage sale for $2, and they sold for $20 even. Next up was a brand new sealed DVD. It was a 2-movie collection of Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage. We got this recently at a garage sale. You might have seen us pick this up at the Honey garage sale. And we paid $1 for that, and it sold for $20 even. It sold almost immediately.
Really fast.
Yeah. Okay, next up was the best thing we picked up at that Honey sale. This was Detroit Rock City.
Other than the honey.
Yeah, true. And this was the Kiss Band comedy movie. It was on Blu-ray. This is a hard to find, out of print movie, so definitely be on the lookout for it. This was not new and sealed. This one was opened, so if you can find a new sealed one, I do not know how much it would go for, because we only paid $1 for this and it sold immediately for $71.98. So definitely a bolo you want to be on the lookout for.
Yeah.
Next up was one of my old shirts. This was a Zara women's small black and white striped V-neck spaghetti strap knit tank top. I actually bought this on eBay from a reseller a long, long time ago and just decided it did not fit me anymore and sold it for $11. So we are keeping stuff out of the landfill over and over and over again. Okay, next up was a vintage 19 by 25 print called Cotton Number 3 by Purell. Not Purell. It's by Purell.
Poirel?
Yeah, I don't know how to say that.
Purell.
But this was from a 10th annual convention bankers. I don't know what any of that means, but it was from 1984.
Probably from the 10th annual bankers convention.
Maybe, I don't know. But we came to acquire this through the custom picture frame shop that we own, and we had no cost because it was just something that was there in our old storage unit, and it sold for $15.18.
Nice.
Next up was a 1999 Hasbro Star Wars Darth Maul action figure. He was missing his weapon, so that did devalue it a little bit. We got this out of a thrift store toy bag for just 19 cents, and this one's only sold for $7, so not tons of value. But like I said,
there's so many things out of those bags, though.
Yeah, those thrift store toy bags still make us lots of money because it adds up. Next up was a FLIR 4K high definition security network video recorder. This was something that you use for home security. And this is a very high-end item. We got it at a garage sale for $20 and it sold for $100. Next up was a vintage 1990s Marlboro Unlimited red and black canvas backpack travel bag combo. It was like a backpack that you can use as a backpack, or it was like a suitcase that you could, kind of a convertible style bag. We got this recently at a garage sale. We technically only paid $1 for the bag, but when I applied all of my costs on the spreadsheet, I actually put this one in there for $4 because I just sometimes I fudge the numbers a little bit depending on how much we paid for other stuff, because sometimes I think we overpaid for other stuff. So I think you understand what I mean by that.
We're splitting the difference.
We're splitting the difference. So sometimes I just kind of like make it work, because the idea when we buy at a sale is the overall price. So sometimes that's how we make it work. Okay, so I had put on our spreadsheet that we had paid $4 for this, and it sold for $42.99. Definitely be on the lookout for any vintage Marlboro items. These are items that you could only get with like your Marlboro points.
Yeah, you had to mail in.
Yeah, you had to mail in, like you had to smoke enough to get the Marlboro points from the packaging, and then mail in to like get your swag, Marlboro is such a hard word for me to say. Marlboro swag back. So that's how people acquired it. So that's why there's not as much of it available.
You could just say cigarettes.
You could, and then you would sound pretty silly.
Cigarettes.
All right, next up was a 3-piece Saxon Math. These are homeschool books, and these said 5/4 on the front, which I never quite figured out what that meant, so I just put it in the title. But this included the solutions book, the manual book, the test book, and worksheets. We had a lot of stuff. And there was an issue with it because I had read in the title. We had paid $6 for these at a garage sale, and they sold for $51. Definitely be on the lookout for these Saxon books because they can go for a lot, and they sold, a lot of the ones we picked up have sold fast.
I think the read was that some of the work pages had writing in them.
Oh, okay. Next up was another Saxon Math book. This one was 7/6. Don't know what that means either.
I'm thinking it's grade level, probably.
Maybe. But this one was just a single book, I think, and it had no writing inside. So I did include that right on the title. We had paid $2 for that at a garage sale, and it sold for $30. And at this time, I want to stop for just a minute and ask anybody who is not subscribed to our channel already to please consider hitting that subscribe button. It is something that really helps our channel out. It lets YouTube know that you are not only enjoying this content, but that other people might enjoy this content. And while you're down there hitting that subscribe button, please make sure to hit that like button right next to it. And when you get to the end of this video, if you know anybody who might enjoy reselling content, please share it out to them so that we can help spread the word about our channel. So also, the other thing that we wanted to mention in this video is that part of our income for this week and part of our profit for this week, which we'll talk about at the end, is that we had a garage sale during this weekend.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
So you have heard us talking about over the last several months that we've been going through our inventory and pulling items out or marking items as stuff that we're going to take out for the garage sale. And we did that. We took everything that we wanted to out of our inventory. We priced it all for the garage sale. We hauled it all downstairs, and we had a huge garage sale for 3 days. And we made a total of $274 at the garage sale.
Which should have been much higher.
I know. We have something to report that we're extremely frustrated about. But we did have our garage sale on Friday, on Saturday, and on Sunday. We advertised it in 2 different places. And we, got nice garage sale signs, like 5 different signs. And we put that, we actually live pretty close to some really busy streets, and we put them in like some really prominent locations. So on Friday, we had so much traffic.
Friday was most of that number.
Yeah.
Almost all of that number.
We made like over $200 on Friday. Had tons of people here.
Lots of people.
We were like, oh my gosh, like by Sunday, like we're gonna have so much money. We were so excited. And then Saturday morning, we get up, we set up, we go out there, and like nobody was coming. And we were like, what is going on? Like, do we just not have
We made like $50 the whole day.
Yeah.
And we still had a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, a lot of clothes. Like, we should have been selling more. And we were like, what is happening? Like, we just could not figure it out. And then on Sunday, we just decided to go ahead and like be open because we needed to get rid of the stuff. And we still had a few people, but not tons.
We made almost nothing on Sunday.
Yeah, almost nothing. So at the end of the day on Sunday, we just decided to put everything out on the curb, and I posted a curb alert on our neighborhood, like our Nextdoor app. And I'm telling you, they came out like piranhas. And I actually have a picture of some people there.
Every single item. I didn't have to take one thing to donation. We didn't throw a single thing away. Every piece of clothing, every piece of everything was taken, and gently and nicely.
Yeah.
They didn't even leave any trash. They didn't leave any broken items, any boxes. They took it all. I went out there. Curb was clear, just like the trash man had come. It was wonderful.
And we had like, oh my gosh, probably 12 huge, like contractor-sized bags of clothing. And this guy drove up in a truck at one point when we were beginning to put things out there. And I was like, come on, take whatever you want. And he was taking a lot of the stuff, and we were still putting clothes in bags. And
he took all the clothes.
He was waiting for us to put all the clothes in the bags. So we were like, please take them.
Yeah, have them.
So we were very, very happy that everything ended up with somebody that wanted it.
Yeah, nothing ended up in the trash.
Exactly. We were very pleased about that. And we're also very pleased that we made $274.
I'll take it, but really we probably should have made closer to $500.
Absolutely, we should have. But after we got everything packed up and on the curb and done, we got in the car and we went around to go pick up our signs. And we went down to the end of our street and got the first sign. It was there.
It was there.
And then we went down to like the main intersection where a lot of our traffic would have been coming in, and the sign was not there. We were like, aha.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, that explains it. Come around, go to the next major intersection where a lot of the traffic would have been coming in. It's gone. Go next to the next main intersection, probably the primary one where we would have gotten, I would say, at least 75% of our traffic. That one was gone too. Like, we felt like such idiots. I felt like such a garage sale rookie. I was like, why didn't we go and check this on days 2 and 3 when we weren't getting traffic?
I drive through our neighborhood all the time, and I see signs that are like 4 weeks old.
Yeah.
It's like, that garage sale's been over for a long time. I went to that garage sale. That's an old sign, and it's still there. But somehow they just decided that ours were just delicious, and they just took all of them.
They did. Yeah. Well, our garage sale signs got picked up in the city.
If we ever do a garage sale again, which at this point I really don't want to.
Yeah.
But if we ever do one again, I'll have to go out every morning.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll probably have to go out every night, collect the signs, and then go out every morning and put them back.
Yeah.
I've never had to do that anywhere else I've had a garage sale.
Yeah.
You just pick them up at the end of the garage sale. But in this place where we live, apparently that's a no-no, and they just took them all.
It's true. So that was extremely frustrating. Definitely ate into our profits majorly.
And we weren't able to list for those days either.
Yeah.
Because we're out there working the garage sale.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's the stuff is gone. We have a little bit of a fresh start in our store.
We have so much more space in the house.
So
it's great.
We're happy with it. So let's move on. The next item on our list was 4 1996 Bowman's Best baseball cards. These were all Cevin's, and they sold for a total of $9.16. Next up was a Ralph by Ralph Lauren men's beige cotton twill sport coat. We got this at a thrift store. We paid $4.92, and it sold for $45.
We had that thing for years.
We did, which is so strange because sport coats usually sell really fast.
It was a really nice coat, and we got good feedback on it. So there's obviously nothing wrong with the coat.
Yeah, and in fact, I would recommend that if you see a Ralph Lauren sport coat, pick it up because they usually sell really fast.
Honestly, pretty much any Ralph Lauren men's clothing sells well for us.
Next up was a Croft & Barrow women's winter white open knit pullover sweater. It was brand new with the tags. We got this at the bins. We only picked it up because it was new with tags. We paid $1.41 for it, and it sold for $14 even. Next up was a Sweet Rain women's burgundy knit flutter sleeve crochet bust blouse. It had like crochet kind of all over the top part here. We got that out of a storage unit for 28 cents, and it sold for $13.58. Next up was a paperback book called Precious in His Sight by Teresa Ingram. That was gifted to us to sell. We had no cost, and it sold for $14.99. Next up was a Wild Fable women's medium lavender purple crushed velvet bustier corset top. This was gifted to us to sell. We had no cost, and it sold for $12 on Poshmark. One thing to note on Poshmark, if you did read our disclosures at the beginning, I think I have this in there now, but all of our prices that we state So like this one for Poshmark, it sold for $12 plus the Poshmark shipping. That's kind of like a pass-through on Poshmark. Like the shipping's just a pass-through that the buyer pays and then it goes straight to Poshmark. We don't ever see any of that money and there's no way for us to make profit on it. So that's why we don't include it on our spreadsheet. Next up was a pair of white stag women's black acetate slinky capri palazzo travel pants. These are like the Chico's Traveler's style pants, and for some reason, this style of pant always sells.
People love them.
They do. If it's an off-brand, they sometimes don't sell for a lot, but they sell fast.
Which I really don't understand because they're very heavy pants, so they couldn't possibly be comfortable to.
Well, I think they
comfortable
are.
from softness maybe and from stretchiness, but they're so heavy. It seems like they would be hot.
They don't wrinkle.
They seem like they would be hot.
Yeah,
they're very
I
thick
understand
pants.
that.
Yeah.
But these were gifted to us to sell. We had no cost, and they sold for $13.
I wouldn't want to travel in them.
Huh. Well, people do.
I know.
Next up was a white diamonds, and that was by Elizabeth Taylor.
Is she dead?
Yeah, I think so.
I think she's dead.
Yeah. And that was a Body Radiance perfumed body powder. It was, I listed it as new open box because it did not have the outer box with it, but if you opened the container, it had like a plastic seal over the holes of the powder thing.
So it was sanitized for your protection.
Yeah, had the plastic over there so that it was completely brand new. You cannot sell any used or open health and beauty products on eBay, so don't list it. But we were able to list this one because it was sealed, factory sealed. This was gifted to us factory sealed. This was gifted to us to sell. We had no cost and it sold for $14.99. Next up was a paperback book. It was Forgotten Realms, Road of the Patriarch by R.A. Salvatore. This we got at an estate sale for $1.62, and it sold for $29.99. This is definitely a book series that you want to be on the lookout for.
He is my favorite. I read a lot of D&D type books, and he is my favorite author. I have like 10 of them over there on my bookshelf.
Some people might not know what D&D is.
Dungeons and Dragons, Forgotten Realms is a series of fantasy books inside the Dungeons and Dragons world. There's Dragonlance, Forgotten Realms.
I don't know anything about it.
I'm forgetting something, but yeah, there's a lot of them. Forgotten Realms are the best.
I don't know anything about it. All I know is that you want to be on the lookout for these
I don't
books.
think it's Salvatore. I think it's Salvatore, but I'm not positive.
I would argue that, but we'll see. Next up was actually a Whatnot sale when we were before the garage sale.
Yeah, it's why we were setting up the garage sale.
While we were setting up the garage sale, we just decided to kind of have a pop-up Whatnot sale.
We're just trying to do some random Whatnots just to get the feel of it.
We are trying to grow our Whatnot audience, and we're trying to get some experience under our belt with Whatnot live selling. So if you are not following us over at Whatnot, there is a link in the description box below where you can go and follow us on Whatnot, and you can also get $15 to spend at any of our Whatnot shows. So make sure to click that link because there's free money in it for you, and it does help us out as well.
Who doesn't like free money?
So at this little pop-up sale that we did, we actually sold 4 hats that we were going to sell at our garage sale. And the idea behind this was to practice on Whatnot and was to also gain some Whatnot experience and following. So we did not really make any money on this, but that wasn't the purpose of selling these hats this way.
But they were headed to the garage sale, which, as you know, probably would have meant they would have been on the curb at the end of this garage sale.
True. So we had paid a total of $1.74 for those hats, and they sold for a total of $4. And we got some Whatnot experience, and we gained a couple of followers after that show.
That was just what it was for.
So we got what we set out to do.
Yeah.
Next up was a Magic the Gathering Homelands Koskan Falls. Is that how you say it?
I would say Koskan, but
Falls.
I don't really know the pronunciation.
This was one of Kevin's cards, and it sold for $15.99. Next up was a Lake Louisville, Texas, first edition waterproof, tear-resistant map. We found this in the Goodwill bins, and we had paid $1.03. It sold for $24.99.
That's good. We almost always pick up maps if we can get them really cheap.
Yeah, maps are so
maps
easy to
sell really
list,
well, and they store easily. They ship easily.
Sometimes they're long tail items.
Yeah, somebody has to come along.
Yeah, they do not take up any space.
No.
Yeah,
and you can ship them in those little cardboard mailers real easily.
Next up was a lot of 59 realistic rubber bugs. I listed them as Halloween props, decor, gag, creepy. We got those at an estate sale for just 25 cents, and they sold for $18 on Mercari. Next up was an ASL, American Sign Language DVD, like a teaching DVD. It was new and sealed. It was gifted to us to sell by family, and it sold for $14.99. Next up was a pair of women's sandals by the brand Nurture. These were clarinet brown leather strappy comfort heel sandals. We got these at a garage sale for $1, and they sold for $23.98. Next up was a Simpsons Playmates nuclear power plant playset Homer replacement figure. We got that at a rummage sale for 25 cents, and it sold for $15.98.
And he didn't even have any clothes on.
Yeah, well, he was wearing like the nuclear power plant suit.
No, I think it was just like a skin suit.
He was nude?
I think it was like a skin suit.
He was in his birthday suit?
Kind of looked like he was. He didn't have the power suit thing.
Oh, well.
It was weird. So that was actually pretty good for that.
Yeah, I think that when I researched this stuff from that particular playset was quite valuable. Okay, next up was a 6 DVD lot of Space Patrol DVDs. All of them were new.
Space Patrol!
Is that what they said?
I've never seen it. I don't know.
Oh.
That's how I hear it in my head, though.
All of them were new except for one. We got these out of the bins for just 45 cents, and they sold for $42.99.
That was a good one.
Yeah. So that wraps up all of our sales for the week. Let's go over the totals. This week we sold 37 items.
A little low.
For an average sale price of $24.51.
Which is decent.
Our sales totaled $906.98. For a net profit of $490.31.
Almost 500. That's actually a really good week for us.
It's good for this time of the year, and
for this year especially.
This year's been rough. And then if you add our garage sale profit of $274 in there, our total profit for the week comes to $764.31.
That's more like it.
That's what we like to see.
Although I don't want to do a garage sale to get that.
No, definitely not.
No, not worth it.
So that wraps up our sales. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and the like button, and make sure to go over and follow us on Whatnot. Get that free money, and we will catch you guys on the flip side.